I say good afternoon because the program is on afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the News Behind the News with Ralph Kintav on Mix 94.7 FM. I hope that all is well with you, and thank you for tuning in to today's program. This afternoon, I have here with me Miss Natorii Illidge. She's a professional dancer, educator as well, rising star, from St. Martin, and it's great that I'm able to have this conversation with her. And so, good afternoon. Thank you for coming to the program.
Good afternoon, Ralph. Thank you for welcoming me.
Great. So there's a whole lot about you that we can talk about.
Yes.
And so we're going to definitely maximize the time today. And if you can start off by, telling us a bit about yourself and how did you get into the world of dance?
Yes. So I am Natorii Illidge, born and bred in St. Martin. I've started dancing since the age of 4. And it's because my mother saw me dancing in Carnival when I was 2 years old. She's like, okay, I got to get her in dance class. So I started at Motions Dance School from the age of 4 and never stopped ever since. It's a passion I've recognized since I was small, and it was something that I could never stop doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so as the journey continues in St. Martin, my first, let's say, stepping stone as a performer was when I was 11 years old when I got the role as Annie. And from then on is when I realized how much more I could actually put out, like how much talent that I could actually develop and hone and inspire others as a little girl. And so from then on, I've gotten more opportunities in the productions. And wow, I can go on and on.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So as I've done great roles in St. Martin as a teenager, doing Rafiki, Annie, Dynamite in Hairspray, and even competitions in Talented Teens show. I also, before actually pursuing dance professionally, I've decided as I graduated from St. Martin Academy to pursue teaching.
You went to Mac School too, right?
Yes, I went to Mac School.
Great trajectory, by the way.
Yes. So, I studied education at University of St. Martin, and I worked really hard and graduated with honors as summa cum laude.
Nice.
And from then on, I was like, all right, let's give this teaching a try. Because as I studied throughout the 4 years in USM, at first I was like, I'm not sure if this is what I want to do. I love dance, but let's give this a shot.
So teaching for you was more so a safe choice, you would say?
At the time, I would say yes. It was a safe choice because especially when I was 16, we weren't so sure, my mother and I weren't so sure of where a dance career can take me. I wasn't really exposed to that much out there. I know that Nicole the Weaver, Woot Woot, living in New York, did amazing things, being in West Side Story on tour and having a feature role in Fela on Broadway. We weren't sure of the direction to take with my dances yet, and I wasn't going to get the finance either from St. Martin at the time.
Yeah, at the
time. And I always had teaching in mind because I always used to, as a little kid, pretend teaching and whatnot. And I wanted to just give that a shot first. And so that's what I've done. But although I've studied teaching, I never stopped dancing. And during those years, as I was studying in university, I became an assistant dance teacher with Susha at Indisu Dance Theatre of St. Martin, and Indira came back from her studies in Holland to run the school with Susha, and they were my mentors as I was teaching with them, and I was teaching in the school, so I was juggling both, which was quite tough. I think I took a year off to really focus on my first year as a teacher. So after graduating in University of St. Martin, I became a 4th grade teacher at St. Dominic Primary School for 2 years, and I loved it so much.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what was it like teaching on the island for you?
Yeah, so my first year, like every other first-year teacher, over-ambitious, can't wait, spend loads of money on your classroom, and ready to change lives, make an impact, make an influence in the young ones. So that's what I was doing with a lot of passion. And then in my second year in teaching, halfway through, I realized that I could do more than teaching. I'm like, okay, I love teaching kids. I love making a difference in the young generation, and I want to do it in a different level. So a different genre, like something where others have not done on the island as yet.
So beyond traditional.
Yes.
Yeah, means
there's lots of teachers here, and I felt a bit not restricted within the education system, but I just felt like I there's so much I wanted to do, and I think I had to do it outside of being a classroom teacher.
I got you. Yeah,
So
out of the box basically.
Yeah. And like as I was a teacher, I always try to teach kids and to be the best version of themselves, do what they love. Everyone is born with a purpose, and me saying that to them, I'm like, I know I there's a purpose for me to fulfill, and in order for me to fulfill that, I need to be an example of what I'm preaching.
Yeah, correct.
And so this is why I'm like, Natorii, you need to pursue dance. You need to go out there and give it a shot.
So it was really a consistent fire, you would say, a burning desire to
Yes,
dance.
it was a burning desire to fulfill it professionally. But I still didn't know what was out there. I was like, okay, I need to go out and train, network, and see what happens from there. So I decided to study at Broadway Dance Center in New York City. And it took...
So you left teaching in Semantic,
I left teaching, so I decided to finally save my money.
Yeah, you had so you figure out your purpose, and you realize with purpose, purpose requires resources, huh? So
yes.
You gotta fund your purpose if it doesn't come from elsewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. So because I couldn't get study financing with what I wanted to do, I had to knock on doors for sponsorships and financial support. At the time, this is when the government, the culture department, started the student grants, the student grants for talent. And so I think I was like one of the guinea pigs at the time. That was 2013,
okay,
I believe. Yeah. So we tried push for it, and it was a long process. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
Papers get filed there, and oh my goodness, I had to keep knocking, keep pushing. But long story short, I managed to get through, get the money I needed to study in New York, because let me tell you, living in New York without working and just living in New York, living in a big country is a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. Yeah. So
by the way, what form of dance, even when growing up on St. Martin, but also presently, do you, what genre do you, what is the genre you're an expert in, let's say?
So in St. Martin, I loved jazz.
Okay.
I really loved jazz dancing, and I had exposure to modern. I have to have ballet. Ballet is the foundation of everything in terms of dance.
Okay.
So I have to continue honing that skills. Even now, I keep telling myself that. And I love hip hop. I used to really, really love hip hop back then, and at that time. And then when I went to New York and explored jazz, ballet, I also explored tap dancing. I've explored Afro and dancehall, and of course hip hop. So all those styles. I wanted to be a well-rounded dancer, a very dynamic dancer. So I cannot just pick one genre.
Gotcha.
Because, for example, today I'm like a fusion. I call myself like a fusion dancer, a fusion teacher. So I fuse styles together. Sometimes it could be rooted from the African diaspora, or from the dancehall, or from the soca, with a little street, a little jazz, and whatnot. I just try to make it my own. But rewind.
Yeah. So back to New York.
Go back to New York. So I've trained. I did a 1-year intensive program. I've done really well there. I've gotten like a student award. What was it called? Outstanding Student Award. Because one thing with me is I'm very determined, no matter what, from since I was little. Determined, disciplined, passionate, and like perseverance. Those are my values from since I was little.
Yeah.
And it still is now.
Yeah. And you see the fruit of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So at Broadway Dance Center, I've done a year training, and then before leaving, I said, you know what, I need to do an audition. I need to get an experience auditioning. I haven't done that before leaving. So I've done a audition at Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, and I was so amazed. I was so stunned that I made it out through the all rounds. So it's till the third round.
Out
And I
of how
was
many?
it was, I don't know, countless. It was just about 10 of us left, and it was about 200 people.
Wow.
And so that opened my eyes to, Natorii, you could actually be a professional dancer. You could actually be a professional performer abroad. You know, at first, I came to Broadway Dance Center to train and expand my dance expertise and to come back and teach. And then when I've done that audition, I was like, no, I could actually do a lot more.
Go further.
I could actually gain more experiences as a performer and even bring back more to St. Martin instead of just skills, dance skills.
Yeah.
So I came back home. I got back my teaching. I had to come back home, run out of money.
Honesty is appreciated.
Yes. I went back into my exact spot, fourth grade teacher in St. Dominic.
Okay.
And then I came back with a mission. I saved my money, and I was like, I need to go back and audition again. So I was figuring out whilst I was home for a year, okay, how I can audition. So I was researching auditions. I really wanted, at that point, my first stepping stone, I wanted to be dancing on cruise ships touring the world, because there's beautiful major productions on ships with very talented dancers and singers. And I'm like, I want to do this. I want to see the world. I want to explore. I want to do what I love, So I have to share this story. I saw an audition in Florida, right, in Miami. Miami, Florida, for a cruise ship audition. It was the closest one to me because there was one in London, there was one in New York. And I said, you know what? I'm going to ask to take time off to go and audition. So I took like 3 days off to fly to Florida. I stayed by my friend Rochelle, who was studying at the time, to do the audition. So I remember, because she was studying pre-meds, and I was with the library with her, and I was just researching, making sure I have everything set in Miami. Then I researched, making sure, and then I saw the email, we're sorry, we had to cancel the audition.
Lord, that's tough.
Wow, I was in complete disbelief. Long story short, came back home, the teachers asked, how was it? It was canceled. And then I realized I cannot stay here and try and do this.
Because there was this pull that you couldn't.
This is too costly, and I need to be out there. So, and when it comes, So I went back to New York, and I've done a professional semester at the time. So this professional semester is preparing you for the industry. So the year before, I did training in expanding my dance skills, my dance vocabulary. This time, I were preparing for the industry. So I've done that. It was an amazing thing. I felt like I was in my prime back then. Did mock auditions, did so well. I had so much confidence in myself. And so once I finished that, like the faculty of the faculty from Broadway Dance Center advised me, you need to go to Europe, Natorii. I know it's hard to get an artist visa here in in New York, because that's the only way you could actually do work in the U.S. I don't have a green card, so but it was a lot of money involved to get an artist visa to be able to finally audition in New York. So I listened to them, and I was like, yeah, I should go to Europe or London. And so when I came back home, was on another mission again, preparing to go to Holland. So during that time, I was teaching performing arts at LU. Yeah. Which was another magical experience. So every time, like before continuing, every time I come back home to St. Martin, I do something really great, and it's so fulfilling. So it's either I'm teaching dance at Indisu Dance Theatre, which I really, truly love. I feel so fulfilled at that school, or teaching performing arts at Learning Unlimited, or substitute teaching. I even done substitute teaching for teachers as a classroom teacher, to just keep those skills there, because you never know. Just to keep honing those skills is very important. You never know what the future holds and whatnot. So, so I got to Holland, and I was on a mission to audition and also to build my Afro-Caribbean dancehall brand as well. because I learned that was my niche in terms of street styles. And so those are the two things I was doing in Holland, auditioning and doing that. And within 2 months, I from auditioning, I got a triple contract cruise ship, a triple cruise ship contract with Princess Cruise Lines. And that was like balloons, confetti, everything for me.
The grand moment.
I was so happy. I was like, wow, it took me this long, but it was so worth it. Yeah. And so I embarked that triple contract. It was 18 months. I did 3 cruise ships, and I've toured the world. I've been in great productions on the ships. I got feature roles. I even got a Above and Beyond award because I did extra work on the ship. I've done like dance, fitness, or Zumba classes. I was really making the most of it. I was doing lots of tours. So I've seen Hawaii, Mexico, Alaska, all of California, that entire coast. East Coast. I've seen New Zealand, Australia,
West Coast side.
Papua New Guinea, like seeing Fiji Islands, Bora Bora, like you name it.
All over.
Yeah,
and I'm sure that's amazing.
Yeah, that was my pride. I was so happy. The hardest time though on the ship was when Irma happened. I was in Australia at the time, and Irma happened, and that was just the scariest time for me because it took a long time for me to get in touch with my family and whatnot. So it was quite hard at that moment, but I had a good family on the ship that was very supportive. So I just had to mention that too, that it wasn't all rainbows and daisies.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, that's life, but overall, I really hear the sense of fulfillment, as you talk about your journey, because one of the things I'm curious about though, while you enjoy the productions and stuff, how was it like living, because you also lived on a cruise ship and stuff.
I lived on a cruise ship.
Did you ever did you have moments where you were down and were like, man, this is kind of annoying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, ship life. So the first month was quite an adjustment. I feel like I was on another planet. It's totally different. Like, safety is number one for them, and I had to do a lot of courses for safety and drills. It's so important, especially when that horrible accident happened in, Costa Concordia, that ship that happened in Europe.
No.
Oh, yeah, well, that was because of that event that happened years ago. It was much more strict on ships with safety and being in control of how to handle emergency drills. So that really took a lot out of me because I was also seasick and had to be rehearsing and figuring out how to dance on a moving stage in heels. So
wow, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yes, doing grand jeté in heels and noticing you're landing a bit late because of the ship went a bit this way. So that was that, and also sharing in a cabin was an adjustment as well. It's a little cabin of 2 people, and there's no porthole, so there's no window, so you're always waking up in darkness, go sleep in darkness. The only time you see light is if you go up on deck, or in the guest areas when it's all beautiful, because it's like you would clearly see the difference between a guest area and a crew area.
Yeah. Night and day, basically.
People used to say that is like, you're in jail with preferences, with privileges, because there's a time to eat, there's a time to this, everything is very structured. So it was an adjustment. However, I made the most of it. Like I had time to really I was so happy that the gym was just up on deck for free anytime. I was working in the youth center. I was working in the IT cafe. I was doing a lot of stuff, and the tours, like, just what was really, really worth it, other than just making people smile as you perform, is just seeing the world. So I really took advantage of that.
Traveling is amazing.
I did bungee jumping, I did parasailing, I climbed many mountains, I climbed bridges. I've done Alaska was like the most fulfilling experience. That is another world over there. Just the nature over there. I learned to appreciate nature so much. I've built up my mindset changed.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, of course.
It changed completely
You
of
meet so
how
many different people
beautiful the world is, meeting different cultures on the ship. Papua New Guinea was an eye-opener. it was a huge eye opener of the lifestyle there, of how they live very simple life, and it's like a village life being there. And I was just, and they're so happy. I don't know if because we there, they put in a smile on their face, but I just see the simplicity of life there. It's like, wow, how some like people in the metropolitan world just keep going and not even taking a moment to just
enjoy life.
Take a deep breath and everyone always on a mission or unhappy or angry or hitting on each other. Oh my goodness. When I was living in New York, people just hitting each other, walking, always on a mission. But over there, completely opposite.
They're in tune with themselves, with their community.
Yes.
And so, that is quality living. You can really say.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's like I notice sometimes you just need to take a step back and appreciate what you have.
Yes.
I learned to appreciate my family a lot more because you know how I was raised as a kid. I was always on a mission, man. I always was in the dance school, achieving. I don't know. I was always a go-getter, and sometimes I used to miss birthday parties or miss a lot of like family time because it like, you know, this kind of life you pursue, it's a lot of sacrifices. You know, it's a lot of sacrifices, but we will get there. I'll talk about that soon about sacrifices and taking risks.
Definitely, you know, because even just having to bear the living setting of the cruise ship in itself is a sacrifice.
Yes.
It's like, well, I'll handle not having a huge room, but you know, the fulfillment that you get on the other side is definitely worth it.
Definitely.
So one of the things that comes to mind, I'm curious of, is, you know, okay, like you spoke about how you researched auditions and so forth. But what was it like for you networking, getting gigs and the like? And did you have an agent? And do you have an agent?
I have an agent now in London. Yes.
Okay.
Before I haven't. Before moving to London, I haven't had an agent. I had to network. Yes, I had to. The first thing I done, like for example, in Holland, I was taking classes with people who are like working in the industry. So you get to do that. That's the best way to network, is taking classes and meeting teachers, introduce yourself. They see what you can do, and you naturally build relationships then. You build relationships from even with the other students that takes the classes. Now, the beauty of Instagram, I can reach out to people who I look up to. Like, for example, when I moved to London, I hit up a few people that I followed because I really admire their work and also their style, and I know that's kind of the direction I want to go to. So I message them, and then they're so lovely to even welcome me and be like, yes, oh my goodness, come to my class, let's link up, let's catch up. And so that leads to more opportunities. So I must share this. So long story short, after cruise ships, I realized I need to move on from cruise ships and go to London. I took a year in St. Martin by teaching and developing my brand in Afro-Caribbean, Afro-dancehall, fusion. And I built my Instagram with videos, a bunch of creative videos that I enjoy doing. I miss doing it. My goodness, I miss it.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of those videos too is the different settings, you know, because the island really helps make it so lively with the lighting, the colors and so forth.
Yeah, so I wanted to promote my island and also promote the talent there. So I went through that year in St. Martin prepping for London. And when I reached to London, it's so interesting. So I have to share this one. So I love the Lion King, right? Lion King Broadway, Lion King on West End, and I've done the Lion King here with Helen Hart, which was amazing because she helped me with my vocal training that was the next level I needed to go to. I wanted to go to Broadway. Moving to London because I wanted to now pursue work in the theaters, in musical theater, and because my dancing, I am 31 now, and my body is getting really tired. There's a lot of injuries. There's a lot going on. I can't do what I used to do 10 years ago now. I want to now level up and get into the acting and singing. So which led me to meeting Helen Hart, doing the Lion King production here in St. Martin, and also meeting dancers in the Lion King in London. So I met this dancer. In the Lion King. His His name is Etienne from Cuba. We link up so nicely. Like, it was such a good vibe. And then he said, "Hey, Natorii, I'd like you to audition for a film. Is it possible?" Because he's working with this Brazilian company and whatnot. And then he told me the date and time, and I said, "Oh no, I have rehearsals then." And then he said, "It's okay, we'll just pencil you, and you just need to send me a video, send me such and such and such." So one of the videos I made in St. Martin that really blew up, I sent that video in and whatnot, and they were like, "Yes, okay, we really like you. We want you to come to the rehearsal, to the classes. We need is about, they're looking for Cuban dancers for this film." I'm like, all right, good. Then so I was learning the cha-cha-cha, whatever. I'm like, don't know what's going on. And then afterwards, it's like, all right, we need you to go to this fitting at Pinewood Studios. It's like all the way up north London. I'm like, okay. So like you get paid to do all those things. Love it. To do fitting. So I went there, and then I noticed on my hanger, I see 007 Cuban dancer. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
This is the new James Bond film, And so this is just the beauty of networking, yeah?
Yeah.
I naturally link up with this guy, and he thought of me because he loves my videos and he loves my vibe, and he recommended me to the Brazilian company. Natorii needs to be in this. And that's how I got the James Bond film, and I got to actually see myself on the film. So sometimes it's not always about auditions.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just naturally happens like that.
Yeah.
And that was just...
So, in essence, is that too is, for example, when looking for a mentor, one is definitely, like you say, not always about auditioning, but also sometimes not just always about money and so forth. It's really building genuine and authentic relationships with people and being who you are.
Yes.
Because, if you feel like you have to fake your personality, fake who you are just to get in a room or just to meet someone, they will pick it up. That's one.
Yeah.
They will definitely pick it up.
And sadly, that's what the industry is, especially in the commercial industry. And I tried to come out of that because I didn't like it. Like, throughout this entire journey, and I still am now, I'm still discovering me, but I am trying to differentiate from finding me in this industry to being who I am and what I can put out.
Facts.
And it's difficult sometimes because you would feel like if you just be boldly you and whatever comes, you will feel like nothing will come. And sometimes you feel like, oh, well, I have to change this, or maybe add more hair, or I have to get skinnier, or, I have to buy more clothes because this is the style now, this is the wave now. I'm like, no. This is not what I'm going to pursue. It took me a while, not that long, but
I follow you.
But it was a journey to understand that simply me and being me and boldly me is enough and more than enough. And the right thing will come to me. And it's a lot of patience, I must say, because I'm a bit impatient now, to be honest, in this pandemic. And I have to keep reminding myself, it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of faith. It takes a lot of discipline. And it also, and in order for it to work out with all of these values, you have to have that driving passion for it. If you don't have that passion, you will give up.
Yeah.
You will be fed up really quickly. You will be clueless of what am I doing. I've said that many times this year. 2021 has been the hardest year so far for me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We will get there.
Yeah.
But even though when I felt like I thought before the pandemic, I thought I had it all together. I know exactly what I want. Nothing can stop me. I am the strongest I can be. I am so woke, awakened, higher level of consciousness.
I feel you.
And now I am trying to get back there.
All right. Back in business.
All right.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the News Behind the News with Ralph Cantav on Mix 94.7 FM. And this afternoon, I'm joined with Miss Natorii Illidge. Now, so having listened to you talk about networking, the next thing that comes to mind, especially given the field that you're in, is competition.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like, showing up every single time? And how is it preparing your own mental state?
Yeah.
Of maybe meeting people with a longer resume
Yeah.
and so forth, but not
Yeah.
feeling challenged or intimidated. So what is
Mm-hmm.
it like dealing with those competitions, especially in getting gigs and bookings?
Yes, so I grew and grew a lot from that experience, from my New York experience to Holland experience and now to London. It's been different every single time. In New York, I was quite new to it, and I used to really get in my head, and the best me never used to come out because of how so in my head I was, because that's like where I was telling you before. In this commercial industry is these looks that they wanted, and you're trying to become a person that you're actually not because of the competition. And in the beginning, it was hard to just focus on my own lane, right? And I used to get in my head a lot, but I kind of persevere, but not to the best version I could. And when I moved to Holland and I found my niche when I was in Holland. I found my niche in the street styles because I thought like hip hop was my thing. And it is, but my niche, like what I really enjoy is the Afro-Caribbean dancehall style. And so I've built that confidence in Holland there with in terms of competition. I've learned to focus on my own lane. Everyone is on their own journey. You can't help, even up to now, sometimes you can't help to think on others or it's like how this person got further than me. As much as I talk myself out to it, it's natural in humans to just like, you just have these two sides and then you just have to do this hush.
Yeah.
You have to constantly
Silence
do
that
that.
other voice, yeah.
Like, so now in London, before the pandemic, so when I moved to London, I moved in July 2019, right? And my first 4 months, I don't know what happened, but everything that the universe had my back, right? I was so aligned with everything that like where I got my agent, I was so determined. Like, I felt like I was starting over, but I'm like, Natorii, you're starting over with experience. Even though it's like, it felt like the third time starting over, like New York, and then starting over in Holland, and then now starting over in London, starting from scratch with no one know me. I have to get myself out there. Let me tell you, it's a lot of work to get yourself out there. It's like, I have to audition every time now to show who I am. But anyways, let me not go sidetrack. So I had 4 months before I went on Thriller tour. So I got my agent. I knew what I wanted. I've got my vocal coach. I've gotten James Bond. I've done my homework. Like for Thriller, so when I got my agent, the first audition she sent me to was the Thriller Live audition. So Thriller Live is a Michael Jackson show.
Oh, because just is it Michael Jackson Thriller? Okay.
Yeah. It's a Michael Jackson show that's on West End. So West End, if people that doesn't know, West End is in London, where is equal to Broadway in New York.
Correct. Gotcha.
So West End is like the biggest dream to be in. So I've got the Thriller Live tour, which was amazing. But how I got that was because I first met the director of that show in a workshop that he was doing. So it was so strange because I had missed the audition when I was filming for James Bond, but then I did my research. Research is key. And I see that he was teaching a workshop the next week. I'm like, I have to come and just tell him who I am because I miss Thriller. And then I've done that. I met him. I talked to him, just shown myself out. And then he told me, hey, we're actually doing another audition this Thursday. I want you to come. Told my agent about it. And that was already a good thing. So usually, that's how it works in the industry sometimes. When you have that kind of relationship, even from before the audition, you're already far ahead. So I've done that audition 2 days later, living my best life. I honestly didn't really audition to know that I was going to actually get it. The very next day, they were like, Natorii, we want you.
Wow.
And I was like, amazed. So amazed. I was like, wow. This is incredible.
It also goes to show like a lesson in that is, as you said, you're starting over, yes, but it's also at a different level. It's like, with a video game, there's various whether it's various fields or various levels. So you have to get used to the territory to figure out where's a hidden treasure, let's say, and all of that. As you pass one, you know, go to a new one. It's like you're starting over, but you're really advancing towards it.
Advancing, exactly. Yeah. So I knew exactly what to do, and it luckily happened within 4 months that I got a contract.
Yeah.
In my head, like I said, okay, it's going to take me 3 years for me to get my first contract because I know it's going to take time. I have to keep showing my face, yada, yada. Well, that 4 one happened like this.
That's
and
impressive.
I think it happened for a reason because the pandemic was right around the corner.
That's true.
Oh, it happened for a reason. So, Thriller Tour, my goodness, the best contract I've done so far. I went to Saudi Arabia. I was in Dubai. I toured in Denmark. Switzerland, in Sweden, Holland. I got to go to Holland, and a few of my friends and family get to see me.
Sounds like you maxed out your passport.
Listen, passport looking good. Very, very, very decorative.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And the show, I was so happy to got a feature role in the show Dirty Diana, which is like the best moment of the show, where I have a cool solo with a mohawk and like a white cool mohawk, and that show was so intense. So it's basically 6 to 8 times a week we perform that show, and it's like a 2.5 hour show, and sometimes we have double show days where we perform twice in one day. It's really hard.
Yeah, because I want to ask you, what is it like in practice? You know, what goes in and the behind the scenes.
Yeah. So rehearsals was for 1 month. We learned the entire show. Well, we learned the entire show in 2 weeks, and then the other 2 weeks was just cleaning, like everything else, costumes and drill. Like we just practice.
Polishing.
The rehearsal process. My poor brains and my poor body. So usually I had my morning workout routines. I had like a morning ritual. I need to get back to that morning ritual. What I used to do, but now doing that show, it takes a lot of athleticism, you know, because it's a dance contract. It's not a singing contract as well. It's a dance contract. They go so hard on the dancers. You're on stage all the time. Costume changes are almost impossible. The worst is costume changes than actually performing on stage. It's the worst because you can't catch your breath. You're already panicking. Costume changes to get back on stage on time. I went through a lot of weird stuff on the ship, some costume malfunctions a few times, but I learned from experience how to be a professional costume changer. You have dressers as well, though. So the rehearsals, you learn so many numbers in a day. Like, you have to be so on it with your brain, learning choreography, and you have to review on your own. You keep moving on and on and on. Because even though you've auditioned and you did it, you still auditioning. They're still checking you out. They're still making sure you could work. They're still making sure you can adapt. You can be on it. You can perform. You can be consistent. You are strong. You have that stability, that what's the word I'm looking for? That endurance for you to perform 8 times a week. So I was picked to do Dirty Diana based on the rehearsals, how it happened. So because of my, my discipline, my strength, and my skill sets, I was grateful to be picked with another girl to do Dirty Diana. So sometimes, like, there was one girl that was going to be picked for Dirty Diana, but it took it away from her because of just her work ethics and whatnot. So it's never ending when it comes to I think that's how it is in life in general. You always have to do your best no matter what.
Correct.
No matter what, do your best when you can. No, don't overdo it. Then
you don't want to burn out.
Just do what you can, or do your best. Just keep a positive mindset, great work ethics. So, communicate if you need to say something.
Yeah. So what comes to mind? Definitely, as you stated, that need for athleticism. So what is it like for you as far as committing to exercise as well as your diet and so forth? What is your regimen like where that's concerned?
So I'm gonna get. Right now, I need to figure out my regimen now. But back then, especially when I was really busy, I'm not as active as I was before.
So kind of slowing down a bit.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, cool. No problem.
At the time, like whilst doing Thriller, or even before, I had a morning routine where core is so important to keep honing my core, especially as a dancer. it holds everything together as a dancer. So I always were doing like a core workout. I always do some legs workouts, some push-ups. I always try to do those 3 things and also stretch. I'm not the most flexible person, so I felt like as a dancer I had to work much harder than the ones that had those natural abilities. And I think from that is where my determination and discipline came from, because I felt like as a dancer, which wasn't really that good, but I learned how to change my mindset of it. I used to work from a place of lack. Feel like where I lack in this, so I need to work hard at this. I'm lacking that, so I need to work. But I changed my mindset with that now. I'm working from passion now. So it's very important to hone those skills and to do yoga, to do body conditioning as a dancer, or even as, I mean, of course, as an athlete, you know. It's so important. It sometimes gets really tiring. Sometimes you just want to relax. And if you do it, what's the harm in that, you know? And that's what I learned this year. You know, I'm learning now balance, really and truly.
Like to rest and so forth. Yeah.
Rest and just appreciate life and do other hobbies other than your career. You know, dance used to be my hobby, and now it's my career, and now I don't have any escape anymore. So I'm like, I need to do something out of that. Probably something I'm going to figure out soon. I don't know, kickboxing, I don't know, something. But yeah, so it's very important in that matter, and especially when I was doing Thriller, oh my goodness, it took a toll on my body. We had physio with us, that I got physio every 2 weeks. But to be honest, the pandemic kind of saved my body, right? Because the contract was from November until July 2020, but it finished in March. And I had a neck injury from Thriller. Because I was going so wild and on it, because they were really pushing us when we were in Germany. It was really high expectations, and people used to get fired if we don't live up to their standards with those agents in Germany. So which I didn't need to, I learned from experience now, to not, like, I was doing great. I didn't have to do any more to prove anybody. I had to say, Natorii, you're doing 8 shows. Why are you dancing like you're never going to dance again? So now I messed my neck up so bad.
And it still affects you now?
Yes, I'm still doing chiropractic treatments.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's another thing that's coming with it, which I'm slowing down with dance as well.
So you're looking at evolving, basically.
Yeah, yeah. So my neck, it took a while. Like, I couldn't recover if I was still dancing. And we were, like, with Thriller, we only have 2 swings. So a swing is a person who steps in if someone get injured or someone is unable to dance. That's a hard role. I don't want to ever do that, but at the time, because you have to learn every single track, right? So we were out of swings, and I had to still dance with an injured neck. And that was the worst thing. And then the pandemic happened. And then I was like, I could rest my neck. But then afterwards, you get miserable. It's like, we're not going back. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Right? But my neck, I got to rest my neck. But then when I came back to London, it started acting up again when I started auditioning again. So that's Thriller. And now during the pandemic, all of us had lots of time.
Okay. So my next question for you is, what is it like, especially you said that you prefer the more fusion, Afro, Caribbean and so forth. What is it like coming up with choreography, but also studying the craft, because to dance, and I know that in dance there's also theory and stuff.
Yeah.
So what is that like?
Well, because I want to create my own brand, I feel like over the years, I've studied so many different styles, and whatever comes from my body comes out. So there's music that plays, and then I would just freestyle, and I would film myself, and I'd be like, oh, I like that. Let me keep that. Oh, I like that. So my freestyle, so there's different kind of freestyles. People who just magic comes out of them, right? And with me as a dancer, I'm a very trained dancer from 4. So the freestyle that would come out of me is like techniques or dance moves that I've learned before. And so that comes out, and also studying the new styles of Afro and whatnot. So do my research with certain dancers that I idolize in the field and learn some moves from them, because there are like popular moves that you would want to incorporate, because sometimes like if you want to teach those kind of style, those are what the clientele wants, those popular dance moves and whatnot. Sometimes I would create a very creative video where it doesn't incorporate any of those styles or whatever. But because I really into the popular dance moves that are there now, I try to incorporate that and make it my own. That's in terms of dance vocabulary. That's what I do, because there's new moves that are created, and I borrow those styles and how to say, I just make it dynamic in some way, make it work to what I want to do. And I must say, if you don't really practice it every time, like if you take a long break from it and you want to get back at it, it's so hard. It's like you're on a creativity block.
Yeah.
So, which could lead me to saying that I got an opportunity to choreograph for a company for a show called Afro Dance Explosion. So Black History Month is the month of October in London. So, and when I got that opportunity, I took it. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? It took me so long for something to come back to me, because I wasn't really dancing that much. This year I wasn't dancing as much. I was focusing a lot on singing. And so, but, you know, you really got to trust yourself, and not give up too soon.
Yeah.
I was really worried of like, I was in a serious creative block, but you just have to give it a chance. If you force it, nothing is going to come out. So I just took a break, watch a series, like, just check out,
you gotta,
check out completely. Don't worry, come back
out,
to it tomorrow,
yeah.
And go again.
Sometimes like that with writing, so I definitely know.
Yeah, you just have to just put it away. Don't even think about it. We'll try again tomorrow. And then it comes. You have to just trust it. But you have to give yourself time too, yeah? So that's in terms of in creating. Because it's a lot of experiences I have in the past, a lot of classes I've took in the past. That is like naturally in me, and the vocabulary would come out based on what the music tells me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's two more questions I have for you, given the time. One of them being going back to sacrifices. What was the toughest sacrifice you would say that you had to make, and I guess, and I would really like you to talk on that, for those listening, whether it's for their children who are, even if it's sports, it's academics, art, etc. Need for students and children to learn about, and even adults really, but the importance of sacrifices in order to get to where you want to go.
The toughest sacrifice I had to make, I think every time I moved to a new country. So the first one was the toughest. The very first one was the beginning of leaving teaching to something so uncertain. And people used to be like, that's such a big risk you're taking. And I used to be like, well, what exactly do I have to lose though? What do I have to lose?
If anything, you just come back?
Yeah. Like I used to look at it as building a new life every time, and I was the thing is, I used to be so curious of making friends and making new families out there. I was so curious of just learning different cultures and just growing as a person. And so because my focus was towards that at the time, it didn't feel much of a sacrifice. So yeah, my first sacrifice was leaving teaching to pursue dance, and my other sacrifice that I would say was really big for me was moving to London. Moving to Holland was not bad. Moving to London, the feeling of moving to London was the feeling I had the first time. I was so emotional because I was like, this is the third time I'm doing this, and I don't even know what's out there.
Yeah.
I felt like I was starting from square one again. And now I would say the third one is moving again last year during the pandemic to do a course where the pandemic was escalating. So I must talk about this experience that happened this past year. So it was so hard to, after coming home from the pandemic, to leave again to do a course. I was offered an opportunity to study musical theater since I was interested in exploring and being a performer in the musical theater world. And I was like, why not take it? So they offered me, so Associated Studios, Leontine has offered me a bursary, they call it. So a funding, partial funding for me to do this master's in musical theater. And I needed more money in order to actually survive in London while studying and not working. So I've gotten help from Clara in the culture department and Dr. Rudolph for more funding to pursue this course. And I had a lot of people telling me, what are you doing going back to that country in this pandemic, studying a course? Why can't you just wait? You're doing so good here. You started your fitness brand and whatnot. You could build a good life here during this pandemic. What are you doing? And I'm like, I need to do this now. I just need to. That's what my gut is telling me, and I need to do it. I need to go against all odds and go for it.
Makes sense.
You know?
Yeah.
So I felt like that was a sacrifice because I don't know what I was getting. You know, this pandemic is like you don't know what's coming after you. Yeah. And I'm like, I just need to go. This is now. When I get determined, I'm like, I don't care. I just go in blindly, you know. So I work really hard to get funding and make as much pocket change as I can here and pursue this musical theater course. And I sacrificed putting dance aside to pursue singing. And let me tell you, this could be another radio show.
No problem.
About this. That was a journey of putting something I love so much from since I was 4 aside to really focus on singing and acting. I thought singing was not that it was going to be easy. I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't know it was going to be that hard. Because singing really exposes you. And I had to not only learn about musical theater history, music theory, a lot of things that I never explored. I've never been
vulnerable again.
Never felt so vulnerable. Yeah. Never felt so vulnerable. I've been in a position where I really didn't know much about. I was like, what did I got myself into?
Yeah.
And I believe I persevered, but it was a journey where I lost a lot of confidence. I lost a lot of confidence. I was unsure. I felt like I don't like this. And I don't like to struggle in something that I don't like. I like to love, like you have to love the struggle.
Yeah.
You know, I've been struggling this entire 8 years in dance, but I love it. You know, that's why I'm doing it. But in this one, I'm like, no. I'm like, singing? And I didn't know I was exposing so much, getting criticisms every week after week. I felt the criticisms were great. It got me better. True. Like, even though I felt like I was suffering through it, I was actually growing, and a new Natorii was developing. A new flower was blooming in this musical theater world. And I was classifying myself as, I want to be a triple threat. But it's not only a triple threat I'm becoming a full artist, you know. And I forgot I a little bit forgot who I was in this course because of how much, like, you know, my inner saboteur starting to come out that never came out. Like, never really experienced it before. And so I think, honestly, that was my biggest sacrifice, is putting dance and my love aside to pursue something that was completely unknown to me and something that I never really explored before, which is singing and acting. It's really hard.
Yeah, I could imagine.
It's really hard, but great things came out of it. It really did. I finished the course by doing a one-woman show, which was called Survive to Thrive. That was the hugest challenge I've done yet, to expose my singing to the world. That I'm still up to this day, still shaky about, you know. But yeah, that this year was really a new level of finding me and the love of what I'm doing. And
tested you.
I had to reevaluate everything. This was a year of reevaluation and resetting and not giving up. And once that course was finished, I was auditioning a lot, quite a bit of time where I was dancing and singing as well. So I'm now getting used to singing in front of a panel. And I'm very proud of myself for doing that. I've done really well with auditions so far. But like you say, with competition, it's much harder now.
Yeah.
So hard because there's a lot of people out of work that are getting their contracts back. So these positions in West End is a lot smaller. It's either they're auditioning 300 people for one role.
Jeez,
and whatnot. And so now I am doing these auditions, and before I used to be fine with auditions. Now, because I'm a bit like, I got a little bit, how to explain that? Unstable. I don't know. Just a bit off balance.
Yeah.
I'm a bit sensitive now, and a bit vulnerable.
Yeah.
So, with these auditions, as much as like I'm learning and growing, and they're seeing my face, it's really good. I when I get the no's in the end, like, okay, we like you, but for this time, we won't need you for this one. Every single time I auditioned over 10 times over the past 6 months.
Wow.
And I got a lot of recalls as well. So recalls is good. So I got recalls. But every time I felt defeated, and I'm like, Natorii, stop feeling so defeated. You're doing great. But the thing is, why I felt so defeated is because I got so busy in trying to survive in working as a teacher assistant in schools in London, and just auditioning. I had no time to put in money to put in for training and dance and doing what I love and whatnot. So right now I'm learning to find a daily fulfillment while auditioning for my mindset as well. And so that's my biggest sacrifice. Putting singing in front of dancing.
Interesting, very interesting.
Yeah.
So my final question for you, maybe going a little over, but that's okay, because I'm definitely curious on your take on this, is what do you think is needed that we can further assist dancers, the arts, and institutions on our island for our many talented youth on St. Martin?
What we need a lot more support from our island, from the government, from the people. We need more awareness on the island, like awareness for parents, because I understand that parents are scared for their child to pursue the arts because they feel like the child is going to struggle for the rest of their life. But I think that they need to build more awareness of what is out there, and they need to be educated. I feel like we need to build a better education in the arts,
yes,
in singing, acting, dancing, and musicianship, whatever in the arts. A lot more education in that. And in order to do that, we need money. We need the money. We need the financial support. We need investors. We need a great theater. I am so looking forward to see a proper performing arts theater, because the dance schools, NIA, and Indie Dance Theatre of St. Martin, and other dance schools, like what they're doing, they deserve a beautiful stage to show their work.
For sure.
They deserve that. And I think that's gonna also help to see, how to appreciate and push for arts more. I would love for more artists from out in New York, LA, London, Europe, wherever, to come down and keep doing workshops and open minds and inspire others. But I feel like education on the industry as well is very important, because from what I went through when I was young, I love dance, but I don't know what to do with it. I want to do it as a career, but what to do? Like, I would have loved to have that exposure when I was younger, these workshops. And I must say, we are doing it. Indie Dance Theatre did Dance Excellence in LA in August, put St. Martin on the map. I am so super proud. These little experiences are like
advancements.
Yeah, are advancements, and I'm like, they're finally getting validated, because it's hard work, and I just hope that the community can understand and respect and help that, and to understand that the arts is it's a career path, is it is needed in this world. They think it's not an essential, but it is. You watching TV, you watching Netflix,
Correct.
and all of that.
Take
all of that away.
We all look forward to and
take music away.
Entertainment, yeah, exactly.
Exactly,
even
it
the
is
most
needed.
Let's say traditional or rural society.
Mm-hmm.
Well, while people may, work the field and plant and crop, etc., after all that work, somebody is looking towards entertainment. You have the village joker or a performer. They have cultural dances and stuff.
I must say as well,
it's in us as
right?
humans.
We invested so much. Me, Bianca, Indira, Nicole the Weaver, Gio, Bibi. We all invested so much in our craft, right? And when when we're asked to perform or do this or be in a music video, they can't pay up.
Yeah.
They want to give the lowest budget possible, and it's like, no.
Yeah, and
we're not
worse,
doing that.
The most disrespectful form of just come and do it for some exposure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, exposure. I don't need exposure.
Don't pay bills.
It does not pay the bill. This is my job here.
Yeah. It's a career.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
They really abuse that, and they still abuse it, especially with Instagram now.
Mm-hmm.
With Instagram, right? I work hard on my Instagram, and I invested a lot in my YouTube as well, and there's no money coming in, right? Because the kind of offers I'm getting is to promote this video for exposure, or promote my product. You'll get 25% off.
No, I don't want your product.
No.
You pay me.
So that's another thing there with TikTok, Instagram. I don't have TikTok yet, but that's the thing there. And I am to this point in my age now is trying to find stability, financial stability, right? I want to live a full life.
Yeah.
And so it's quite hard after investing so much in the years to know how to really build a business out of what I've invested in, a successful business. And it's even much more difficult in these times, So that's another thing I would like St. Martin to learn and understand is respect for the arts and respect the paid, respect the quotations we send out.
Yeah.
We giving you quality work. We invested thousands and $10,000s of dollars and pounds on this. All right. So even though it's just a 5-minute performance, no. We are rehearsing.
Correct.
We are renting studios.
Correct.
We are putting costumes together to do a great 5-minute show for you. So that is another thing what I would like a change in St. Martin.
For sure.
Respect the entertainment. Respect. Pay up.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah. Pay up. I think I could definitely end on that note. Respect the artist. It's as simple as that, And I'm glad to see even, that there's definitely that turnaround, even globally, because for so many years, artists have been exploited. But you see that change. Even platforms are sort of starting to adjust the way in which, they compensate artists for the stuff they create. So on that note, I would really like to thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation.
You're welcome.
It was fulfilling.
Thank you. Same here.
Yeah, and I think that, especially for those parents who are listening, that in the diversity of guests that you see on this platform, that you don't discourage, your creative child of thinking, you only have to be a lawyer, a doctor, etc. No, you can be successful in the arts and so forth as well. So on that note, to all our viewers and listeners, thank you for tuning in to the news behind the news, and do take care. Take care. Take care. Take care.